A little 4th of July fireworks for FSU football recruiting as they have added another commitment, this time in the form of four-star offensive lineman Peyton Joseph, who picked the Noles over Memphis. Matt Lasser, that means he also picked Florida State over a big FedEx NIL bag. So that's big. Not only do you get him and his talents on the field, but you also beat Memphis, who just recently beat out a school down south for a commitment with that NIL package from FedEx. So you've got different angles coming here with this one. But first, let's talk about Peyton Joseph as a player. What do you like about him in the trenches for Florida State?
Yeah, I think this is a great pickup. His packages might be getting delivered a little slower, but at least he'll be in Tallahassee. Great pickup. This is one that's kind of been a long time coming. He was originally committed to UF, but then over the spring started visiting FSU a lot. Like he stayed here over spring break with his cousin, TJ Ferguson, who's an Alabama guard transfer and is now on the Noles. He stayed here that full week for spring break, was at every practice that week, went to a scrimmage, and that was kind of your easy to tell turning point. Like I remember the first time he came to a practice, he was walking down and we were interviewing him, and you had a bunch of offensive linemen who he had hung out with, like Jeremiah Byers and the whole group yelling, yo, just decommit already. Just decommit, like just yelling it out. It was really funny, and it was clear that he has a connection with all those guys just from having the family connection and being there. It's a really big pickup. I mean, watching his film, it's fun to watch. Very violent hands, easily pushes out that left tackle, or not left, just a tackle, or not tackle. Sorry. Yeah, tackle. Defensive tackle. Really fun. He's also really fast when he's pulling. You don't really see him get to the second level a whole lot, but you'll see him push down a guy, and his eyes are always looking to that second level to get that next block.
Big time for Florida State, pairing with fellow commit and five-star Solomon Thomas on the offensive line. He's an interior offensive lineman listed as 6'3", 280 from Houston County in Georgia. I kind of want to circle back around because a comment when we were doing interviews the June 21st weekend from Solomon Thomas kind of stands out, related to NIL when he said, I can go somewhere else and make more money. It feels like this might have been a situation with Peyton Joseph as well. We mentioned Memphis and the NIL through FedEx. Just how important is that now that you're seeing Florida State being able to win those type of battles where maybe, there's an influence coming from the NIL from the competing school, and Florida State's still able to come out on top in the recruitment battle?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing to point out is that Florida State still does have good NIL, right? We're not saying they have bad NIL. They have very good NIL. They just know how to spend their money. They use it more wisely. Maybe you save extra money for the portal so you can get guys now. You don't need to spend all that money on high schoolers like a lot of places do, like Miami and maybe Memphis now. It's not something you need. Now, for them to win this battle over maybe not having as much money or offering as much is huge, just when it shows the relationship and development, right? And I think I speak for everyone when I'd rather have the kid who turns down an NIL bag, who wants to actually be developed as both a person and a player on the field and build those relationships, right? Like, who cares if you're just getting money if you're not going to get developed, when down the road that means less money. I think that's the big pitch that FSU is making, especially with 10 guys being drafted this past draft. The money's made there. The money's not made coming out of high school. The money is made coming out of college. And that's the message when it comes to development. And you've been able to see that throughout everyone. Again, 10 players drafted. That shows a lot towards development.
We talk so much about the relationships that Mike Norvell has with these prospects, but I think Alex Atkins is so underrated in that regard too. Do you feel like he played a big factor in the recruitment of Peyton Joseph, or what kind of went into his recruitment and eventual commitment to Florida State?
Huge role. Atkins is very good at connecting with kids, always has been, always will be. And Peyton Joseph, I think, called him like a father-son relationship. Like, that's how close he is with him. They joke around. It's not all just about football. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing when I like to hear about these coaching relationships is not about the football side of things, right? Because you don't want to be around someone all the time that just talks about work, right? Like your friend in the office isn't the guy who all you do is talk to about work. It's the guy you can go get drinks with and hang out with afterwards. That's what you want to look at in these relationships. And Alex Atkins almost always knocks it out of the park. You see it with other big linemen too. Florida State's involved with, like Ty Haywood. Even though Ty Haywood hasn't visited as much as Peyton Joseph, that relationship is still strong. Atkins is very good at that when it comes to these offensive linemen and just connecting outside of football and being a regular person.
You mentioned Ty Haywood. We also talked about Solomon Thomas, fellow five-star commit to Florida State. I know they've been in the running for several other guys. What's the offensive line, big picture, looking like in recruiting moving forward for Florida State here over these next couple weeks and as we close out the 2025 recruiting class?
Really good. I mean, we've been hyping up this offensive line class for how long now that on paper, overall, 2025, this is probably the best offensive line class we've seen in a long time and might have ever seen. And Florida State has been very involved in that. I mean, we've known for over a year now that Atkins gets giddy about this 2025 offensive line class. I mean, you still have Josh Petty, five-star Josh Petty out there, who Florida State is trending very well with and came off that same official visit weekend. And also, I don't know the stats for it right now, but that official visit weekend has been huge for Florida State. They've gotten multiple commitments out of that, and very fast too. Like we said, we were waiting for these fireworks in July, and now they've all come. And even a lot of them were earlier than July than we expected. But again, this offensive line class is expected to still be huge. Again, Josh Petty's out there. You have Ty Haywood, who Florida State is still chopping at and still looking in a good spot, top three. Like I said, originally, I did not expect Florida State to be in the top three, but they've done a very good job in that recruitment. Probably trending towards Alabama a little bit now. But again, that's someone who Ty Haywood is about the little things, right? Like you could still see a surge for Florida State. It's one of those where he's pretty quiet and you won't really know until it happens.
Florida State has added four-star offensive lineman Peyton Joseph to pair alongside five-star offensive line commit Solomon Thomas. Could still be more good news coming here in the trenches over the next few weeks. So make sure you're locked in here on Warchant TV and warchant.com. Like and subscribe to this video and to the channel. And make sure you head over to the premium recruiting board where Matt and Michael have you covered with all the latest in FSU football recruiting. Until next time, for Matt, I am Ben. Thanks for tuning in here on Warchant TV, and happy 4th of July, everyone.